What up, y'all? It's your boy, One Sir Grove. Believe it or not, this is the 100th episode of Casting 495 Celebrities Worldwide, C4CW, and I am your host. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're having a great, wonderful, blessed, pleasant day wherever you are in the world, whether it's daytime, nighttime, midday, mid-evening, medieval, not so medieval, somewhere in between, dawn, dusk. Man, love you, man. So today, what we're going to talk about, man, is not only having achieved and accomplished as 495, the 100th episode of this here podcast, which is, by the way, a mobile podcast, y'all. We're going to talk about how, with the new material that 495 is currently working on, that is underway, how it's been a milestone for us, man, as an organization. And we couldn't have done it without all of our fans, man. Seriously, like without all of our fans and supporters, proponents, those who back us and who actually like what we do and appreciate what we do. We appreciate you. And I'm not saying that arrogantly or egotistically or conceitedly. I'm saying that genuinely. Because, man, you know, dude, being in this rap game for 25 years, independent, putting in work on the streets of America and out of country, you know, man, hey, 25 years in this here rap game business, man, it's a chore, to say the least. So a lot of people, man, they use the expression blood, sweat, tears. Look, man, we grind it on the block, and that's the gist of this episode, man. 100 podcasts deep, quarter of a century in this rap game. Seriously, man, like when you, for example, when you look at YouTube, right, and videos and people's responses to videos and stuff like this, you get a lot of mixed reaction, right? Like that's how the world works. It's like not everybody likes like the new Marvel movie. Not everyone likes the new, I don't know, Justin Bieber album, but a lot of people do at the same time, right? Or whoever it is, Janet Jackson. I mean, I'm just putting names out there. Justin Timberlake, 495, right? I mean, it could just be fucking anybody. Man, people say shit, you know. But look, man, we've rolled with the punches. Because, man, we've had to soldier on, man. Like, you know, some kids just buckle, man. And they just fall and fold because they, criticisms and shit. One of the things growing up on the West Coast is motherfuckers, like, when you're a kid, like, 7, 8 years old, growing up where I grew up, like, you got to be able to take insults, man. Like, we practice doing that. We practice doing that. And, man, this woman behind me, man, what the fuck is wrong with her, man? She, fucking driving insanely fucking stupid crazy and shit. You know, she's talking on her phone, going all slow in her motherfucking Jeep, whatever, shit. The fuck, man? So, just totally discourteous. But anyway, I had to just go around her, man, because she was creating a hazardous fucking road condition. So I just fucking floored it and went around her because she was acting fucking dumb. But anyway, back to the point, which is, man, growing up where I grew up, man, you had to take insults, man. We learned at a young age. There was none of this, like, nanny state shit where kids are all nanny stated by the gov that, like, what's the word? Mollycoddle? Some shit like that. Let me look that up, man. But, yeah, like, we drilled it into our psyche as children because we knew that niggas were saying shit, right? That was disrespectful. Growing up, like motherfuckers would just say the N-word and such, they would call you the N-word all the time. Motherfuckers say the N-word. Motherfuckers would call us niggers and shit, man. I'm just being honest. Like, that was the word that they used. They'd be like, you fucking nigger. That's what people said in the neighborhood that I'm from, man. So what's this word? Let me look it up. Mollycoddle? Mollycoddle? I don't even know if that's the word. I'm just saying something that's can't reach Google at this moment. Well, fuck off then. Let me look it up on another device, bitch. So, we just had to learn. We just had to learn that niggas say shit. And when niggas say shit, You know, you just got to be like, yeah, okay, whatever, nigga. You know, whatever, motherfucker. Yeah, you said that. Well, look, I'm going to say some shit too. And that's an important thing to understand about the difference between my generation and how I was raised and how 495 was raised. Because motherfuckers be saying shit on YouTube, motherfuckers be saying shit on social media, and we're just like, yeah, okay, nigga. Damn. So let me see here real quick. Hold up. Let me check. Definition, term, meaning, mollycoddle. Mollycoddle. And keep in mind, I don't even know if that's the word. It might sound silly and shit. Oh, there is a word called mollycoddle. Treat someone very indulgently or protectively. Yeah, okay, so my memory serves me there. I thought there was some expression that sounds strange, like mollycoddle. So that what I'm talking about is that's what the nanny state does, man. The fucking gov, like state shit, like the former, I don't know, some fucking state gov, like in some country of the past, that like the state controls everything's state controlled, and like people wear uniforms and everybody looks alike because it's a homogenous society where everyone's xenophobic and anybody that's an outsider is like treated with disrespect and disdain, and everything's like bleak and it's all dystopian. The landscape is like gray and like bleak, and everybody's like dreary, like woe is us, the state controls us in all things. The state controls us in all things. That's in the mollycoddle fucking nanny state, because those niggas is being mollycoddled and shit. So, you know, we didn't grow up like that. I grew up in an era, in a universe of time, space-time, where you could wear a shirt that said rad, right? And it was like a hot pink with some acid wash jeans and shit. Maybe your jeans is torn up a little bit when you bought them for the effect of like being a bum or shit, or like hobo-like and shit, right? If you want to look and feel and be like bummy on a skateboard, like skating through bum trash and kicking cans and fucking tearing up curbs and shit with your skateboard, man, when you're grinding the curbs that the public owns, but you're like, fuck the public, like I'm gonna grind the public's curbs and shit. I was actually with the skate group called Skaters Defacing Public Property, believe it or not. My skate group was obnoxious, bro. Our team, our crew was fucking obnoxious. It was called Skaters Defacing Public Property. That was a real fucking street skate crew. We were semi-professional. We had sponsorship, and we were dope. I met some of the raddest fucking skaters on the West Coast, and man, we just felt like we felt disrespected by the state. So we were like, fuck the state. We're gonna we're gonna deface these niggas. State shits, public shits, fucking curb grind that shits. And it was like skate or die, motherfucker. And then the gov, they would post this shit like skating is a crime. And they'd tell us that. And then we'd wear shirts that said skating is not a crime. And went back and forth, and the cops would take our skateboards and like snap them in half and shit. Run over them with their cop cars and then drive off, flipping us off and laughing at us and being like, fuck you, nigger. Yeah, for real. That's real shit, man. That's real fucking shit. So I was a mass rad fucking skater. So you know where I come from. And you had to just, man, you had to roll with shit like that. Oh, this motherfucker just broke my skateboard, huh? This nigga just broke my fucking mode of transportation, my means of transportation. This nigga just snapped my skateboard in half, and he's a fucking police officer, huh? Yeah, I remember when he came to my school, and he said that he was officer friendly, and he was telling us to, like, say no to drugs, and, you know, he's cool with McGruff the crime dog and shit, and they're all teamed up on fucking some protect the community, and if we ever see or hear something in the community, we can talk to him, officer friendly, and McGruff the crime dog, his fucking crime dog partner and shit. Oh yeah, but this nigga just snapped my skateboard and shit. Outside the classroom, outside public purview on the side of the street where he thought, you know, he was putting on a show for the public, but over here on the side, he snapped my shit, my fucking skateboard and shit. Motherfucker. Yeah, that's how I was growing up, man. They turned on us, man, at the time. And look, man, I have a background in national law enforcement, man, national security. Because I knew, dude, not all cops were bad. But, man, back then in the 1980s, That shit you saw in NWA, spoiler alert if you ain't seen it, where they're in the studio and they come outside, or they're on their way to the studio, I believe, and Jerry Heller's already hooked them up and they're already financing shit to record, and them fucking cops are outside, and it's black cops, white cops, it don't matter the race or the skin color, man. It's some state shit, like some neo-Gestapo wannabe, like the Stasi shit of like Eastern Germany of the past, right? Some fucking Nazi Third Reich type shit. And I'm not even playing, bro. That's how it was when I was growing up, for real. You know how Bone Thugs and Harmony talk about? You know, a lot of niggas don't know where they get that, Bone Thugs, right? They had a thing originally, and I saw this in the interview, beating on niggas every day. B-O-N-E, beating on niggas every day. B, Bravo, O, Oscar, N, November, E, Echo, Bone. Beating on niggas every day. Yo, man, a lot of niggas don't know that shit. I saw that in the interview. Man, of Bone Thugs, because I'm a Bone Thugs fan. Check game. A lot of niggas don't. Just like I know about Esham, man. Niggas be like, I know about Esham. And I'll be like, East Side Money and Hoes, nigga. You don't know that, though. Yeah, the wicked shit'll never die. But yo, peep game. What I'm saying is that if you follow American U.S. world history and you want to know the truth, it was like that growing up. That's why niggas was in gangs, man. It wasn't all just about being like poverty-stricken and being in impoverished communities and like niggas looking like disheveled, emaciated, and famished and shit like sub-Saharan Africa. There was that too. But man, when you was trying to do the right thing, some neighborhoods, man, when they sparked off the drug war, like the pre-drug war shit, what they did, man, is they started to harass motherfuckers just for no reason to show that they were in control of the neighborhood. So when we were good kids going to church, putting money in the offering, right, playing in the arcades, as soon as we had we exhibited any type of indication that we were anti-establishment, disestablishment, I'm talking about just even having a skateboard or having you a fucking Raiders parka, right? Just because you like it, because you saw some rapper do it and you're like, oh, I like the Raiders parka. Like, I might not even follow the team, but that looks dope. And I'm on the streets with a bunch of like, I don't know, Aryan skinheads, and they've got like Doc Martens and chain wallets, and they've got like red and yellow shoelaces and shit, which you need to look that up and see what that means, because that means something. You know, cause nigga, I'm a half black, half white kid. I'm a half white, half black kid. And I know what that shit means. And I just laced you up with some game. I just spit game on the mic. I just kicked down intel, homie. I just disseminated intel. Because man, I work in national security. And growing up, I knew what that shit meant back then. I said if they had yellow shoelaces or if they had red shoelaces. And I said Aryan neo-Nazi skinheads. You probably like, nigga, what the fuck are you talking about? Nigga, I grew up on the streets of the United States of America, okay? And I come from a military family with a long military lineage and background and history. And I just kicked down some niggas nowadays have no fucking idea what I'm talking about if they're from this younger generation, unless they're up on intel like I was up on intel since I was a whiz kid, okay? I grew up in them streets. Motherfuckers with AK-47s and shit coming around the corner. We had to be armed up. We had to be strapped at age fucking 7, 8 years old. And we were. And that's real shit. So, man, I'm going to tell you like this. When we were kids and we were taught that the world is innocent and all this kind of shit on some level, and we used to, you know, go to Chuck E. Cheese and go to the mall and shit with their parents and family and friends and like Cub Scouts and watch fucking movies and eat pizza and go to Burger King and watch E.T. and shit, right? Hey man, there was a point when we weren't doing anything illegal, nothing fucking whatsoever, not any fucking thing. And all of a sudden the police started fucking with us, man, because we looked the kind of certain way and shit, right? Because we looked the kind of certain kind of fucking way and shit. And this is real, man. I'm telling you, man, it was subtle fucking covert racism that ultimately became overt racism, man. The closet racism, and it's always existed in every society, but it wasn't just racism, and it wasn't just prejudice. That was the small part of it. What it was, man, it was neo-Gestapoism, man. I just made that word up, but it's real shit. It was neo-fascism, man. Fascist motherfuckers from the past, lying in the deep state shit, right? Lying in the deep state shit, like underground fucking networks and shit. They wanted to exert power or assert power and show power. They wanted to show fucking force. And so when they felt the time was right, they came out, man, in full force on the streets. Cause it was a covert op, it was black op shit anyway. Cause the whole deal, the crux of it, okay, was that they knew that this drug war was on and popping, or it was about to be. It was in its beginning stages, and they were stage opping this shit. It was all stage opped up, and they were running the psyop, like just shaking niggas down on the streets. Hey, what you doing with the pager? Taking that shit. Hey man, I have a pager because I saw it in a rap video. And let me tell you, man, Sir Mix-a-Lot. What? Sir Mix-a-Lot's got a pager? And they used to tell us shit like you can't have a pager if you're under the age of 18. That was America, man. You talk about Man in the High Castle. You think, man, that shit faded away? Motherfucker police used to roll up on us and be like, what are you doing with the pager? Give me your pager. You're a drug dealer. And back then, man, I wasn't selling drugs. I just had a fucking pager because I wanted one, because I wanted to be like Sir Mix-a-Lot, man. Beepers. Beepers, right? So I'm like, shit, man, I'm growing up in the Pacific Northwest. I'm looking at this icon, this light-skinned, tanned-up skinned nigga, he got the swass and shit. Y'all niggas don't know about swass unless you know about pure orthodox hip-hop. That shit was dope. Swass, S-W-A-S-S. Sierra, Whiskey, Alpha, Sierra, Sierra. Swass, look it up. Sir Mix-a-Lot, Swass. Beepers, Swap Meet Louie. Come on, Posse on Broadway. Nigga, I was there on fucking Broadway in Seattle. So I wanted a fucking pager. Mix-a-Lot was talking about it. He was a rap icon at the time. Square dance rap, motherfucker. And at our high school, we had to learn how to line dance in PE. That's physical education in order to graduate from a high school in the Pacific Northwest. That's real shit. It was a requirement. You had to country-ass line dance, or it was a fucking requirement, man. And you think One Sir Grove is crazy, nigga, until you find out everything I fucking tell you is true. You like, damn, that's some cold intel. Nigga, y'all had to learn how to country line? Yeah, we did. Because you had to learn, the moral lesson was you had to learn how to dance with a woman. Courtship, motherfucker. You had to learn courtship. And a lot of girls and boys, they'd put on mittens like gloves and shit because they didn't want to touch hands because it was too weird and socially awkward. But you could do that. You could wear gloves and mittens and shit like that, right? Like if you're at a ball. But the thing is that you had to actually go through the physical motions of doing the line dance. And so we did. And I did. And I fucking graduated from high school. And, I was in high school like Calvin Brodus, the gangsta nigga Snoop Dogg. I've seen his graduation, or I don't know, like I shouldn't speculate, but I saw a yearbook photo where he had, I think it was like a cardigan, and I'm not even clowning, nigga. I'm talking about the gangster nigga, Snoop D-O-double-G, nigga, from Long Beach, California, homie. Cuz, nigga, Snoop, nigga. I said cuz, I'm Bloods, gang. But you feel me? I ain't set tripping, and I like Snoop, and I remember when he broke out. But yo, in my high school, though, my high school photo, kind of like the one Snoop Dogg got, I got the fucking acid wash jean jacket on, and I got the slick back hair. My hair was straight at the time, nigga. It was permed up. Nah, but it's true, though, man. It's absolutely true. I had the slick back hair. My hair was straight. I got it permed, and I fucking had the gel in it. I used to put the gel in it, and I used to hit it, believe it or not, with the Aquanet. Now, keep in mind, man, I'm talking fucking 1986, 87, 88, 89. And, man, I used to have my hair braided. I used to go to this place out west, man, and get my hair done, and it was dope. And I'd get my hair permed up, and at the shop where it was a black woman and a white woman, and it's a famous shop, and the son of the woman who would braid up my hair, she'd either braid it or she'd like perm it, right? I never fuck with the Jerry curl or anything like that. But her son was a rapper. Her son was a rapper in a famous rap group. And my crew actually connected with their crew, and we ended up teaming up and working together on projects over many years, span of many years. And so the dudes that we grew up, man, under, in terms of like seeing how they did it, how they were in the game, watching them perform. In fact, that was the first rap concert that I ever went to, and seeing how they embodied the West Coast, like that was, man, it was West Coast, man. And that's when, you know, shit ultimately was like ganged out, man. And cats were coming into Seattle from LA. Cats were coming into Everett, Tacoma from LA. So you got Seattle, Everett, Tacoma, cities that are real close to each other. I mean, relatively speaking, they're not too far from each other. Seattle, distance between Seattle and Everett is like 26 miles-ish. And like to Tacoma from Seattle, it ain't too far. It's a hop, skip, and a jump. And that's where you get SeaTac Airport. SeaTac means Seattle, Everett, Tacoma. And, or Seattle, Tacoma, but fucking Everett's up north by the U.S.-Canada border by not too far. So, man, just north of California, man, you got Oregon. Then just north of Oregon, you got Washington, which seems obvious to most niggas. But, man, if you ain't been out west and you ain't really too geographically savvy, then you ain't really know what the fuck I'm talking about. And that's why I'm talking about this for the audience. So, man, growing up out west, what y'all need to understand is what NWA depicts in their movie, again, spoiler alert, where niggas was just doing innocent shit, man, back in the day. And this is so fucking true. And then the gangs exploded, man. There was an explosion of gang activity on the streets. And if you weren't part of it, man, you might get run over. You know what I'm saying? Like in your hood, because the neighborhoods were plagued. But even if you were trying to do the right thing, and even if you were 100% trying to do the right thing, man, if you didn't join the military, like the U.S. government armed forces military, if you didn't play sports, get you a scholarship or something to get out of the neighborhood, man, if you weren't fucking super ultra smart enough to like start you an IT company, man, back in the day, keep in mind, Microsoft hadn't 100% fucking taken flight yet. My homies were only starting to get involved with Microsoft when the gang war had already been we took one of our dudes, man. We drove him to Seattle to an interview where he then got hired at Microsoft, okay? But he had been in the streets with us, man. He had been in the streets grinding with us. And I won't go into details because that shit's Black Ops classified and will not be fucking declassified. But, man, we took him to Seattle, and he got a job successfully at Microsoft. But understand, man, that we were at war on the streets, man, with the system at the time. So niggas was like, man, we were living in trap houses and shit, man. We were on the fucking streets, like, and our community was like at war with itself, and it wasn't fucking pretty, man. And though we had a 2-story house, white picket fence with the 2-car garage and the RV on the property, I said a white picket fence, bro. And we were living on the high end. At some point side of town, we were living in the affluent community on the good side of town. I would say good side of town. They're all good sides of town, man. But, you know, bad shit went down back in the 80s and 90s. So the riverside became what we call the dark. Well, there was the dark side of the riverside where it was literally, there were no street lights. Shit was dark because the city didn't have money and resources to invest in it. And, man, we were fucking, you know, we were under siege, man. Our communities were under siege by the powers that be, man, and the forces that were, and they were fucking doing our moles in our government, man, traitors to our government, man, were doing secret overseas wars. And the way that they were doing those wars overseas, man, with the Contras and the rebels and the Sandinistas and the fucking all these like skirmishes and all these like faked up ops and shit, where they would do this shit like pit people against each other and use terrorist groups to carry out these operations against other terrorist groups and to make this look like that so that they could get the money and shit from like Colombia and Bogota and the different cartels, man, and the different drug lords and shit. They were doing that shit by proxy. So they were using those groups, and they were also using niggas on the streets of America, man, to fuel that, to fuel and fund and finance that war overseas that Congress hadn't written off on. And our neighborhoods were the victims of that shit. So I grew up in war. I grew up in a state of war. I grew up in some shit like fucking former Eastern Europe and shit, East Germany. And that's real shit, man. Real 100% fucking shit. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, hey, Grove, like, it wasn't like Nazi Germany. Listen, man, it was like Nazi Germany before the actual Holocaust took place. It absolutely fucking was. And let me explain how it was. They used to round up niggas, okay? They used to round up motherfuckers. And I'm very sensitive to certain matters, including the Jewish Holocaust, because I'm Judeo-Christian. And I was raised in a Christian Baptist family, and I also, was at Methodist and Lutheran churches because I have relatives that attended those different churches, and evangelical and evangelical churches and what have you, man. Foursquare churches, like mash up, meet up, like different like denominational churches and shit. So Christianity in general, I don't believe 100% the whole story that man was like sold, and told in a book. I understand it's just kind of a cross section. It's just kind of a rough approximation. It's some stories about what people witnessed back in time, and shit's been doctored up and changed. I get that. I understand that shit. But the point is, man, some of that stuff is historically accurate. And what I'm saying is I was raised Baptist. My father has a degree in theological studies from a Southern university, and he has a PhD in theological studies. And though my dad was pretty much not fucking around, I talked to him on the phone quite a bit as a kid, and I did see him a little bit. My mother was in the church, and she didn't go hard on us, man. Like, she didn't make us go to fucking church. It was a decision, we could go or we didn't have to go. I mean, honestly, sometimes I take the 50 cents or dollar offering and shit, and instead of putting it in the offering plate, I just go and fucking play video games, man, stand-up arcade games, because I felt like it. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this today, man. I've been in church for, like, my whole life. So I'm going to go play video games, man, and I'm not going to give the church 50 fucking cents. I'm going to use it for whatever I want to use it for. So, because we lived in the North EVT projects and shit until my mother got her degree and we moved out into a nicer part of town. But where I'm going with this, man, is like when I was church going, when I was a youth, when I was like innocent and just doing fucking normal shit that kids do, like being an athlete and playing sports and getting trophies, ribbons, medals and shit. Because in my small town, man, of less than 100,000 people, I was a little track star and shit. Running back. We went to state. We were undefeated and shit for the flag football. I played football in junior high school. I didn't want to play sports in high school. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I played sports my whole life. Gymnastics, 14 fucking years. So I was very athletic. Guess what? The police were rolling around in our hood. And if you were on the streets looking like you had a skateboard or something, they were already starting the fucking Nazi Germany shit, man. They were already starting the fucking Gestapo wannabe shit. They were already talking about, hey, man, what the fuck are you doing? And you're like, well, what are you talking about? I'm just out with my friends. Get up against the wall type shit. Man, back when I was growing up, the police could set you up for whatever they wanted to, man, and they could just make up some story and then just write it on paper. There was no surveillance. There were no fucking body cameras. Surveillance in stores was pretty much a joke. Motherfuckers were probably like jacking off and snorting cocaine and shit. Motherfuckers that are supposed to be watching through them cameras and shit for shoplifters, man. A lot of those cameras were fucking dummy cameras, and they were fake. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, no fucking way, Grove. Like, you talking about this Nazi Germany shit? I'm talking about man in the high castle type shit, man. I'm talking about some shit that's so ultra covert, so ultra Project Pegasus fucking cold black ops, like deep black, unacknowledged special access program type shit. What I'm talking about is this, dude. You're like, well, the Jewish Holocaust, that was fucking one of the biggest atrocities, and fucking that was the most horrifying, horrible. Yeah, it was, dude. It was. It absolutely was. Now, the way they did the second incarnation of the Stasi move, the Eastern Germany move, the fucking neo-Gestapo, man, listen, these dudes were neo-Gestapos. They were neo-fucking-fascists, okay? They wanted to keep this shit alive from Nazi Germany. So let me give you some numbers so you can do a comparative analysis. You can say that these numbers are skewed. I'd like for you to do some research, man, to actually check into what I'm saying, man, to actually look into what I'm saying, to actually reference what I'm saying. After the Jewish Holocaust, these nations, these governments, these deep states, these fucking rogue operators, they got really fucking good at being evil, okay? And what I mean by that is it's not good to be fucking evil, but these people, man, they learn to cover up their shit on a whole different level of reality. One of the ways they did that was with an undeclared war in the United States of America against our own people. How many people do you think died during the 1980s and 1990s in the drug war that America pretended to be fighting? How many people do you think died on the streets of the United States of America? I've seen some number like 6 times the number of people who died in the Vietnam War. 6 times the number of people who died in the Vietnam War. Let's look it up, man. Let's see if Google will cooperate with us at this point. Let's check it out. It's going to tell me Google not available. How many people died during the Vietnam War? How many people died during the Vietnam War? Okay, can't reach Google. Yeah, that's because we're recording this shit. Okay, so we're going to break out with the other device and we're going to look it up, man. How many people do you think died during the Vietnam War? You might know the number. You might be a historian. You might be a professor of history, world history, and you might have a specialization in military history. So let's look it up on this device. All right, so here we go. How many people, hold on, let's ask Google. How many people died during the Vietnam War? Not until okay, so this is Britannica, All right, estimated. All right, we're going to get a number here. Just bear with me, audience. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Come on, cooperate with us. Google this shit. You know, Google's supposed to be fucking top flight and shit. Google, how many people died? How many people died during World War II versus Vietnam War? All right. See, World War II, okay, so this brings up Wiki. World War II was the deadliest military conflict, which I know that, in history in absolute terms of total casualties. Over 60 million people were killed, which was about 3% of the 1940 world population. So they took out 3% of the world population. It says estimated 2.3 billion. So of 2.3 billion people, 3% were killed, which is a huge fucking number. Okay, so then, which U.S. war had the most casualties? Following, okay, this is from Military Factory, Vietnamese. How many civilians did the U.S. kill in Vietnam? All right, let's look at that. How many civilians did the U.S. kill in Vietnam? Suffered more than 58,000 dead, according to BBC.com. While the U.S. suffered more than 58,000 dead in the war, an estimated 2 million Vietnamese civilians were killed. Okay, so another 5.3 million injured and about 11 million by U.S. government figures. Okay, so let's think about that. So the U.S., it says, suffered more than 58,000 dead. An estimated 2 million Vietnamese civilians were killed. So 2 million Vietnamese. We talk about 9/11 and the attack on America on 9/11 and how many people died in that attack on 9/11. And it says here 2 million Vietnamese civilians were killed. Wow, man. That's disgusting, man. 2 million human beings were killed in the Vietnam War. Another 5.3 million injured. We talk about our vets coming back from the Gulf War. Look at this. 5.3 million injured and about 11 million by U.S. government figures. 11 million people injured by U.S. figures, our own figures, according to BBC.com. World Asia News. Fucking wow, man. So on the streets of America, I think what they're saying is that if you take 58,000 dead, in other words, the U.S., because there's no way 11 million times 5, we're talking 50 million people. Okay, they're not saying 6 times 11 million. That would be 66 million people. And the state of California, even just now in the year 2018, has only 39 going on 40 million fucking people. So the reality is that when they say 6 times the number, when people have said 6 times the number of those killed in the Vietnam War, what they absolutely must be talking about is the number of U.S. soldiers killed, excuse me, which was the 58,000 number. So 58,000 times 6, right? You're looking at 300,000 some odd individuals killed in the drug war in the United States. And 58, right, times, yes, we're doing the math right now. So, oh no, that's not divided by. Come on, let's cooperate. Let's cooperate here. Let's make that a 6. There we go. 348,000. 348,000. And I could see that, but you know what? There had to have been more than 348,000 people killed on the streets of America during the 1980s and 1990s drug war. So it's very easy to see. It's very easy to see that the drug war in the United States, it killed 500,000 people almost. And I would imagine it was 500,000 people, man. I mean, come on. Okay, let's even just go with the low estimate of 348,000. Let's say that's true. 348,000 people killed. Compare how many people died on 9/11 to 348,000 people. 348,000 is 6 times the number of people who died in Vietnam who were U.S. soldiers. U.S. soldiers, if 58,000 U.S. soldiers died, and that's an accurate number, it's easy to see how the drug war equated to and amounted to more than 6 times the number of U.S. soldiers killed in the Vietnam War. Easily. So when you allow for your state and local police and state and local and federal authorities to carry out an undeclared war on your populace, you're engaged in state-sponsored terrorism against your own citizens. And that's exactly what they did in my community, in our neighborhood, in our country. That's exactly what the fuck I grew up in, man. I grew up in war. They inflicted psychological fucking abuse. They inflicted physical abuse. They were fucking rounding people up, putting people in jails and prisons, and they were setting motherfuckers up, man. They were doing it left and right. And it was all covert ops, man, black ops, MK Ultra. And look, I'm not saying that the CIA is at fault, because I'm a proponent of strong national defense. What I'm saying is that we had moles in our government. We had bad apples, man, at different agencies, you know, FBI, CIA, Justice Department, the military, state governments. I'm talking about across the board. We had people who were not doing what they should have been doing to ensure that the drugs stayed out of our country. Man, the floodgates were open. The floodgates were open. It was being brought in here. And I'm not saying that any agency was involved. I'm not saying that, okay, because that's not what happened. I'm saying that there were people who had backgrounds from different agencies, and they were using their skills, their tradecraft, their intel, their connections, their knowledge of the system and how it works. They were using the aforesaid to help facilitate the flow of drugs and to help keep the floodgates open. The gates open, man, and they kept the border porous. That's why, man, the border's always been fucking weak and it's always been porous, because it was made to be that way, man. It was designed to be that way. And who were the victims of that shit? Our communities, man. We grew up in war. I grew up in war. And, man, the streets were fucking chaos, man, when I was a kid. They really were. They were chaotic, and there was fucking chaos on the streets. I've seen drive-by shootings. I've seen stabbings. I've seen fucking, man, drug deals gone bad. I've seen all kinds of shit, man. I've seen shit explode. I've seen shit caught on fire. I've seen fucking crashes. I've seen high-speed police chases with helicopters, SWAT teams, tactical teams, police special operations unit shit, man. I've seen niggas fucking at war with each other, man, and from different gang sets and families and, family feuds and tribal clan infighting shit, man. I've seen that shit. I grew up in it, man. We grew up in that shit. And that's in my past. That's in the history and the timeline that I come from, the world that I come from. And then you see how the governments, man, they clean it all up. And now everything's a mass fucking surveillance society, and people have, a law enforcement have body cams now, and everything's like all, crisp and clean, and everything looks all neat and like, polished up and like remodeled and renovated. You know why? Because, man, how the fuck do you think it got to be what it is, man? Where do you think the money came from? It came from people who suffered, man. It came from people who were victims of the war. It came from people that paid fucking high taxes and who were taken advantage of, man, by a government that fucking abused the people. And that's exactly what I grew up in, man. And like I said, the psychological aspects of it, the PTSD aspects of it, the community and neighborhoods and cities and towns under siege during the drug war. Man, the drug war in the United States was costly. Americans paid a toll, and it took a toll. They paid, and it took a toll on America. Just like when you go through the turnpike or the toll booth and you have to pay. Yeah, that's exactly what happened to America. Americans paid that fucking toll. For what? For what? So some elite could gain. So some of the elites could gain while people got wiped out, man, and annihilated and fucking tortured and abused. Yeah, so somebody else could profit. So corporations could profit from cleaning it all up because it was all arranged, man, and it was all designed. So these people, man, they talk about, in my lifetime, I went through this, and that. Oh, yeah, man, hey, I empathize with you and I sympathize with you. Wow, that's interesting. If I didn't tell them anything about my background, they might just be like, oh, you're kind of an odd dude. Oh, you're kind of silly. You're kind of goofy. Oh, you're kind of nerdy. Yeah, you're a rapper, right? You're like eccentric and you're like outrageous. Yeah, dude. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, if that's what you want to believe, man, then I'll just keep that up, man. That persona. So, yeah, I'm One Sir Grove, OSGOE. Yeah. Hey, dude. I grew up in a time in basically, essentially, I mean, you can think of it as another universe because things were different back then. How different? Well, I just explained to you how different they were. I just shared that with the audience. That's where the fuck I come from, man. And then look around you now and look and see how things are. You're like, oh shit, wow, it's all like neat and clean and everything's all like very orderly. And yeah, it wasn't like that when I grew up, man. At some point, like I said, the police, man, they just come and arrest you for whatever they want and make up some fucking story. The judge, the DA, the prosecutor, they all in on it. They all go along with it, man. And you just got set up by your fucking government. That's exactly what they did. And if you ain't got money to fight it, if you don't have the resources, the political clout, the underground muscle, right? They could just do that shit to you back when I was growing up, man. And they did that to a lot of people, and that's how they profited, and that's how they filled up the prisons and shit. They used to plant drugs on niggas, plant drugs on niggas, plant guns on niggas. And I'm not talking about black folk, man. I'm talking about black folks, white folks, Hispanic, Latino, Inuit, whatever the fuck you call humans, man. Caucasians, Blasians, Americans, Eurasians. The system would just set random niggas up or, niggas that they had targeted. And they just set them up. They just be like, man, he's set up by the government. They'd be like, man, what? Man, you can see countless stories of it taking place throughout time and throughout history. And that's the history of it all, man. And so we were at war. I grew up at war. We were thrust into war. It was urban combat in different pockets of America and different parts of society. And then outside those pockets of society, it was all Hollywood, laser beam, smoke and mirrors, where it was all clean and nice and everything was like lively and just so pristine and impeccable and everything looked all neat. And, it was, what's that TV fucking show called, man? The Stepford Wives and shit. New England, Connecticut. I won't even spoil that for you. But yeah, they did that shit in America, man. And they did that shit in a calculated, very meticulous manner. And I grew up in that. And we made it, man, to 100 episodes. It's 495 a team, man. I didn't do this by myself. I did this with my squad, with my gang, with my team, with my crew, with my organization. And, man, we're 495. We're a legacy organization. 495 Legacy Systems, private military company. Arts and entertainment, media, aerospace, defense.